for high grade, road accessible, plus 1 million ounce gold deposits in stable jurisdictions. There's not many out there.
Why do you say there's not that many out there? Because yours is a story that I hear a lot. I hear often things happen along the way in the markets, etc. But 10 years is a long time. So is there a plan? Is there kind of fresh impetus to this? What are you going to do? So what did you set out to do? How have things changed? And what are you now focused on delivering? Hello and welcome to Crux Investor. First of all, thanks so much for watching this video. If you like it, give us a thumbs up and do leave your comments below. It just helps us understand what you're thinking, what questions you'd like us to ask, and indeed your thoughts on the company. And if you haven't already done so, please click the button in the corner of the screen to subscribe to our YouTube channel. And of course, if you want to see more videos like this, click the notification bell. We spoke earlier today to Matt Turner, who's the CEO of Rockhaven Resources. They're a Canadian junior explorer. We talked to them about their business plan. It took a while to kind of get that out of them, but we got there eventually. We look at their cash position today and what their capital requirements will be for next year to take them through to the stage that they think that they can exit. Take a look in the description below at some of the other topics discussed. Anything that interests you in particular, click on the timestamp and that'll take you to that part of the video. Let's hear what Matt had to say. Hey Matt, how are you, sir?
I'm doing really well, Matt. Nice to see you.
Got a double Matt. That's dangerous.
Exactly.
It's going to get confusing.
Good name.
It's going to get confusing. At least I won't forget your name, right? So where are you today?
I'm in Vancouver, Canada.
Vancouver, Canada. At home,
of course.
Being a good boy. Excellent. Well, you're going to tell us about Rockhaven Resources today, which is a very early stage explorer. So why don't you kick off and give us that 1 minute overview and we'll pick it up from there.
Yeah, okay. So Rockhaven is it's actually not too early stage. You could basically call us an advanced stage explorer actually. We've focused on our flagship Klaza Gold Silver project now for about 10 years. We've done well over that time. We've identified about 1.2 million ounces of gold and another 28 million ounces of silver since we started on the project. And on a gold equivalent, there's also some lead and zinc in the deposit as well. If you put it all together, account for metallurgical recoveries, you're looking at about 1.62 million ounces gold equivalent at about 5 grams gold equivalent. So it's a pretty nice deposit. Also, we own the project 100%. There's no royalties on the mineral resources, which again is very important. And we've done a really good job moving the project forward with help from the local First Nation, the support from the local First Nation, and the residents of the local nearby town of Carmax up in the Yukon. So it's progressed well over the last 10 years. We've obviously brought this project along in some pretty rough waters, right, in the markets. But we've always seemed to manage to raise money, even in the real hard times, and always managed to get crews out and doing good exploration work. Okay,
so I mean, I was looking at the share. The market cap is around 18 million Canadian. Shares are, you relatively flat. There's a bit of volatility in there, but relatively kind of flat for a while now. So tell me a little bit about the numbers first. So how much money have you raised in total so far?
Well, I guess for the company, it came into our stable in 2007. We had another project that we were focusing on at the time. Basically, after the 2008 crash, we decided to kind of change gears and look for high-grade road accessible projects. So we picked up 3. Klaza was really the first one we took a good look at, and that was in 2010. And since that time, we've put in about $34 million when you look at exploration plus acquisition costs.
Right.
So, effectively, it's been about, say, since we started running Rockhaven about 12, 13 years ago, we've raised effectively about $40 million or so.
Right. Okay. I think what's going to be important for me to do to understand this is to, because again, if I look at your PowerPoint, it's very technical. I'm not sure a lot of retail or family office or high net worth could interpret it, could understand it to the extent that you would probably want them to. And looking at, you know, your market cap is half of what you've put in the ground just on this project, right?
Yeah.
I need to work out what's going on up here with you. What is the big plan? What do you? It's 10 years is a long time, right? 10 years is a long time.
10 years is a long time.
Right?
Oh,
and
yeah.
appreciate,
Yeah.
you know, things happen along the way in the markets, etc. But 10 years is a long time. So, you know, I want to help people who perhaps have heard this story, have been with this story a long time, might be a bit jaded. And more importantly for you, some new people coming into it, is like, is there a plan? Is there kind of fresh impetus to this? You know, what are you going to do? So what did you set out to do? How have things changed? And what are you now focused on delivering?
So I guess when we got onto the property, quite frankly, we weren't expecting to find anything this big. We were going into a kind of it was an old gold camp, more or less forgotten. People kind of thought it had been fully picked over. And we went on to the other side of the camp where most of the exploration had been conducted since basically the late 30s, early 40s. And we found basically 5-6 times more gold than what any of the old timers had found on the other part of the camp, of the system. So so we've already exceeded expectations on what we thought we'd find. And as we've kind of looked out past the main area of mineralization that we've identified over this past 10 years, we see other targets that look really good. So really, I think, you know, it's all a matter of kind of finding more and you know, almost hitting a kind of a critical mass. What is that going to be? Okay, we're already, you know, kind of honing in on 2 million ounces. Is it 2.5? Is it 3? I don't know. We're gonna kind of have to see what comes out. I'm really hoping that some of these targets deliver, you know, another 1 million to 2 million ounces. So we're playing more in the kind of 3 to 4 to 5 million ounce range. So so that's, I think, in our mind, that's going to be the kind of the main path forward. Is we're already at a pretty nice number for total resources. Let's see if we can, you know, keep getting that bigger to really get the bigger players interested in it. Because again, you know, we're explorers. You can even, like you said, from our PowerPoint, it's we're a real technical savvy group. We're really good at finding gold. We're not miners though. So that's kind of the end game for us, is to sell this to a miner, and again, make the project good enough to be sold and to really become a strong mine. Okay,
so that helps me. So you're saying we're explorers, we're not miners. Are you developers as well?
Well, we've got to, you know, someone put our developers hat on while we explore it, right? You got to know where the focus needs to be, where the most economic ounces obviously need to be, and so, you know, I think we've got a strong enough skill set in our group to do that. But at the end of the day, when it comes to actually mining, no, that's definitely not our skill set. We're not the actual group that'll go and put this into production. We'll, you know, move it as far along as we need to. Our group, for what it's worth, has been doing mineral exploration mainly in the Yukon, but more or less across kind of central and western and northern Canada for over 50 years. And the guys that have been in the group for, you know, about that much time, say 35, 40 years, they've said now for a number of years this would have already been sold to a miner in you know, in most markets, but just the market we've been in for so long. But things seem to be changing out there, so let's hope.
They are for certain types of companies, and that's what I'm trying to help people understand. You know, who you are, and, you know, what they would be buying into. Okay, so you've hit upon a quite interesting thread there, which is, you know, skill set. So you are explorers, but where does the commercial and financial nous come from? Because, like I said, it's a very technical document. You're talking very technical. I've listened to you know, presentations you've done. It's very technical, but who in the team is going to deliver the kind of commercial component to this? Who is there to structure and financial elements to this? Because that's, I think, important.
Yeah, I would say it's we lean on. We've got a number of engineers in our stable too that we lean on for that kind of expertise. Also through just some of the engineering consulting groups out there for the real the mining side. On the financial side, again, it's you haven't seen us raise the big 10 to 75, $100 million financings, right? And that might be the next step forward for this company is to get to that point. Again, it's been tough markets to navigate through, right? And hopefully at some point soon we'll be able to get the story to that point where we can start attracting those kind of dollars. Which I think we're close, but it just seems like we're not there yet with the current market situations.
Yeah, but you've been at this 10 years, right? So it's current last 2 months have been the last 2 months, and it's not good. But so some of the skills that I would look for in a management team would be obviously technical, clearly paramount, given the field you're in, right? But the commercial component, which is about how you structure transactions, how you structure the financing of money that does come in. How much do you raise? What type of money can you hope to attract? Should you be considering things like farm outs, farm ins, JVs, and all of those sorts of wonderful options that I know are available to you? But the other component is communication, right? So I know we're talking on screen now, but again, looking at what you've done today, it is very, very technical. And I just wonder if you're very skewed towards this technical capability, and it's difficult. And I do know it's difficult for small companies with not a lot of cash to pay for all the skill sets that you need under one roof. Okay, so that people understand that and forgive that. But I want to get an idea from you about what that timeline looks like for you to grow this business. So are you saying to me, we are going to raise a big chunk of change now, because I think we're at that point where we can, if the market understands what we're trying to do, in which case, what are you saying to them that you want to do? And is anyone listening?
Yeah, and that's kind of been the problem over the last number of years is no one's been listening, and we've been kind of stuck in this 8 to 17 cent range for share price. So how do you go out and raise the 10 to 20 to 30 million dollars at those prices, right? So part of it is probably a stronger marketing presence, right? That might be part of it. Just another part of it again is a market that's really cares about the story, and fingers crossed, I think that's what we're going into. So, and for high grade, road accessible, plus 1 million ounce gold deposits in stable jurisdictions, there's not many out there.
Why do you say there's not that many out there? Because it seems like and I don't want to be tough on you here, but yours is a story that I hear a lot. I hear often, and for me, it makes it hard to cut through the white noise and decipher which one do I pick. If you're all saying the same thing, right? And give or take, the asset is roughly of a certain size. So you said you selected this because for the criteria that you've got. Why did you select it on this basis? That you did.
Sorry, select.
Well, you identified this. Yeah, you identified this asset, and you said, "I'm going to go after, road accessible, etc." So, why did you think that was important?
Yeah, I think.
And why does no one care?
Right, for us, we first of all, we built this up from 0 ounces, so it's one of those deposits where a group didn't come in and acquire it. We came in, and effectively there was no ounces, and we made the discoveries and built it up, right? So part of that, through that whole process over that 10 years, we've realized just how hard it is to do that, right? And how hard it is to do it again. So when it comes back to, moving this forward, let's say for a joint venture, not really, not really of interest to us, because again, we own the project 100%. There's no royalties on the resources. We kind of want to keep this as clean as possible for, hopefully an eventual takeover whenever that'll be.
But what is that point? Because, like I say, have you got a clear view in your mind where you've got to get to? Where's the stake in the sand going? You say, right, this is the optimum point given our skill set that we want to bring someone in, and how close are you to that? Well, what is that point? First of all, let's start.
I think we are very close to that, because again, I think we're, maybe we're not at a total critical mass yet. When we started 10 years ago, everybody was saying if you get to 1 million ounces, this will be prime for a takeover.
Yeah.
And then, over the decade, the goalposts have moved, right? So, when is that time? It's a good question. I don't know. It's again, we're going to have to see kind of what plays out over, especially the next couple months with the gold price, with the markets. But yeah, it's going to be that the answer to that question, it's a tough one, right?
But what's your expectation? You say like the gold market's moving, gold producers are producing more margin, more cash, which is obviously great. And invariably, when they get to a certain point where they feel a little bit comfortable, they start splashing the cash and acquiring ounces in the ground, right? That does happen.
Yeah.
But what's your view on how you're going to benefit? Where do you insert yourself into that process? How do you monetize this?
Yeah, I'd say just keep moving our project forward as best we can to continue to de-risk it, whether that's through more exploration. In my opinion, that's where the real key is, where you've got some amazing targets, priority 1 targets that are literally within a couple kilometers of your 1 million ounces, and targets that you own already. You don't have to go out and acquire these things that might be in the middle of nowhere, right? These are effectively going to be within a couple of kilometers of the future mill site for the deposit. So that's where I think the big value is going to be on this project, is to, I think, twofold: get out to the market that this project's out there, that it's a good project, and actually go out and make new discoveries to keep building up the ounces.
Do you think this is kind of like the kind of, I'm looking again, talking about the share price, do you think it's the curse of the single asset model, the single asset company?
Yeah, and some people have asked me that, would you ever consider go out and purchase something else? And the real easy answer is no. Again, if you've got, a large enough claim package as we have, 287 square kilometers, and a lot of those claims we've purchased over the last, say, 5 to 7 years as we've started to understand the mineralizing system, and then to actually, build up, whether they're soil geochemical targets, prospecting discoveries, geophysical targets that are in close proximity to the 1 million ounces you already own. Yeah, I'm really happy with just having that single asset. I wouldn't want to kind of lose focus by picking up something else.
Okay. Can I ask, how many shares do you have in management?
About 1 million shares personally. The insiders, though, we own a fair chunk in total. About I think it's about 15 million shares. And then Strategic Metals, effectively our parent company, owns about 34%.
How did they come involved? How did they get involved with the deal?
They didn't form the company, but they provided the initial projects that started the company out in our office, and then they've actually they put in about probably about $12 million or so into the company.
Wow.
Since probably 2013. So they've been big supporters of the project. Actually, the CEO of Strategic, he actually was the project manager for Chevron, who owned the Klaza project back in the 80s. And so he always liked what he saw there. Funny enough, for Chevron Minerals back then, their minimum threshold was 10,000 tons at 0.1 ounce. And they didn't see it at Klaza at the time. And now, lo and behold, we're at just over 10 million tons at just over 0.1 ounce. So it's kind of funny how it's progressed.
They should have hung around. How much cash have you got today?
About 2.5 million bucks in the bank. So we raised about 4.6 million in 2019. So we're kind of just waiting to see what happens with the doability of exploration this year. It's deemed an essential service in the Yukon, but again, we work nearby a town, and we hire over 50% of our workforce is from that town. So we're pretty conscious of the risks involved, right, in bringing people through town and having people work with locals. So yeah, we've got to be obviously very very cautious with how we proceed. So we're just basically waiting to see how the next kind of month or two plays out. So normally we'd be starting up kind of in early June, but this year it might be a bit later start.
Okay, so you get $2.5 million bucks. You're gonna need to raise, or you want to go and raise a big chunk of change, 5 to 10 for next year.
I'd say that's safe to say. Yeah, for sure.
Okay, understood. And the plan with that'll take you through for what, the next 18 months when you raise that? Is that I'm trying to get a sense of.
It depends really what we do.
Help me understand what you want to do. If you were able to raise the money you need, what would you want to do? And that takes you to what point, and then what do you do when you reach that point? Is that the point at which you say, right, Strategic, come in, or we'll sell this thing or exit? I'm trying to work out where, having spent 34 million bucks today, you're half of that in the market cap. How do you get back up to kind of where you were and beyond, and where's the monetization but come for the long-suffering shareholders and new people wanting to come in? Because there's some upside here if you get it right.
Yeah, and I think the way we will get it right is we go out, say we spend $2 million bucks this year. That'll give us about 8 to 10,000 meters of drilling. That's all going to be focused on targets outside of the resource. I think if we make some nice discoveries, which I'm confident we will. Again, we'll see how significant those look, and how big they start building up to be. Because again, we can do a lot with not much money out at Klaza. It's only a couple-hour drive from the capital city of Whitehorse. Fuel trucks come right out to site. For all-in exploration costs per meter, we're the lowest in northern Canada. So it's we can get a lot of bang for our buck out there. So again, we'll see what comes out of the drilling this year, and see if we can start, again, identifying that that next million and a half ounces. And I think that's going to be, I think when the market sees that, okay, this company, it's got a 15 to 20 million dollar market cap, but they're on their way to 3 million ounces, road accessible high grade ounces. I think that's going to wake some people up. So that's the big hope for us right now, and I think it's doable.
Okay, so this year's about drilling. Those are the types of stories that we're looking forward to from you, and hopefully you make you hit the grades and you make a discovery, would be great. But as long as you keep growing that resource out, you'll be happy. For sure, yeah. When we start kind of hitting that, and again, what's that critical mass? 2.5, 3. I think at those grades, I think you're going to see the big guys are really going to start looking into this, and then
investors will hopefully do quite well, right? Because again, these types of deposits, they're hard to come by, especially when you throw in the road accessible and safe jurisdiction nature of the location. They're hard to find.
Okay. Well, look, Matt, thanks very much for running through the story with us. I mean, I'm always fascinated to meet new management teams, get an idea of what they're like, what their plans are, and get them to explain how they're going to deliver those plans. You must talk more to the market, because when we're researching, there's not a lot of chat about you in the chat rooms, and there's something that I think people want more information, something to talk about, right? So, appreciate your time. Thank you so much. Lovely story.
Thank you, Matt.
Call us.
Thank you.